Welcome to my weekly spiel. Welcome to my weekly spiel. Yada yada blah blah blah. Yada yada blah blah blah. It's time for Margaret's weekly spiel. Greetings and salutations. This is Margaret Franklin of Margaret Franklin Creations, and today is Monday, February... What day is this? Let me look at the calendar here. Monday the 10th. Welcome to my office. Welcome to my apartment and my work on the living room second quilt. I started this before the pandemic and it fell to the wayside with all the other projects I've had to do over the years. And this is their second coloring book. These are all by various artists who come to the living room. The living room is a community art studio. It started in November 2014. I started going there in March, I think it was, of 2015. And the next thing on my agenda that I'm working on is finishing this quilt. It has 20 squares so far. It will have 25 in completion. I started this months ago. What was I thinking when I traced it out? You probably recognize Coco the Clown if you're into Betty Boop cartoons like I am. And then there's thousands of these tiny little faces. This took me months. I put it aside and didn't work on it for ages, but now I finished it, last night? Wow. And we shall come with me into my room where I will show you the first living room quilt. This is the house that it was its original location on Simcoe South, just north of the upscale garage sale. That place is vacant at the moment. There's nothing there, although they closed down after the pandemic, and it was several other places, including a pizza joint and a Caribbean grocery store. There's planets. This is my design on the first living room quilt. I had two designs in the coloring book, both with carousel horses. Of course, I've recently been talking about my three of my favorite things besides Kiss: clowns, balloons, and carousels. And these are other people's stuff. They all live together in a crooked little house. Ever notice that when there's three of something, I usually tend to make them blue, green, and red? Gee, I wonder why. So, the living room is going to finally have a permanent studio location once again. We've been temporarily meeting up in the basement of the art gallery. Valentine's Day will be the last day they're doing this. I hope it will be safe to go outside because they predict nasty weather on Thursday. Thursday night, Ted and Marnie, my in-laws, were going to take me and my husband Dave out for dinner. But since the weather's supposed to be crappy, we're going there tonight instead. Okay, we're back to the new living room quilt. There's three little kittens, blue, green, and red once again. I wonder why. Here's an interesting trivia question for you. This young lad is wearing mismatched running shoes, red and orange. Any of you trivia buffs know the reason for that? Please let me know. I know it. What is it a reference to? Who did that? Who wore mismatched shoes? And what was the occasion? Inquiring minds want to know. This is the latest on my stitch journal. Often when I know I'm going to be very busy the next day, I will do one early. So you will see on my Facebook page this Jawa. Dave and I spent the weekend watching the 3 original Star Wars movies. And of course we were both thinking the same thing. Jawas and minions sound a lot alike. And after tomorrow, you will see that I'm going somewhere with this. Stay tuned. Some of my Some of my Stitch Journal entries have a common thread. No pun intended. Know what point I'm trying to make? I couldn't resist the urge to needle you about something. Greetings to all those so-and-sos out there. This I found in the laundry room this morning. I call it my budgie bucket. It's got another kind of bird on it. I always loved budgies. I've had a few as a kid growing up. Wonderful pets. Especially my bird Hugo. He was my favorite. No other bird was as smart or interactive. I am still working on this masterpiece. I'm gradually putting bling around the outer edges. And now I am going to show you my scrapbook. There's the front cover. I've got my Halifax pub trivia logo and this picture of me and Jeanette. There was this picture on the Toronto Sun of these two Carabana dancers, and I put our faces there. Our heads are a little large for this picture, but I think that adds to the comedic effect. Here's our old-time photo. That picture's like 40 years ago, but they did, you don't see that much anymore. People, those old-time photos, they're sepia tones, you dress up in old-time clothes. It says a bad influence on each other since 1983. The art of scrapbooking is sort of a random act of consciousness type thing. So not everything's going to make sense to you. It's not going to be in chronological order. I got, when the world hurts your feelings and on certain words you tend to dwell, then live life like Margaret Franklin and tell those jerks to go to hell. This is the dawning of the age of who gives a crap. Age of who gives a crap. Who gives a crap. Who gives a crap. Muffin tops and jowls and crow feet. Droopy boobs and no thigh gap. Chicken skin and body odor. Chin hairs that need some trimming. All those things that's wrong with women. It's all good stuff to go on living. So who gives a crap? Who gives a crap? There's some strawberries. There's Bugs Bunny and some cute little chickies. Sometimes, this is one of my favorite hacks. Sometimes I make little trapdoors. I cut a corner because I liked both pictures on the same page. This cute little piggy. Once upon a time, two best friends who've known each other since college looked at one another and blurted out, "Let's move to Toronto." The day before this big decision, Jeanette had been to Port Perry to see Kiddio, and I couldn't come with her because my workplace threatened to fire me if I took the day off. That was the penultimate straw, less than a month after we took an epic journey to see them in Petawawa. She had lost her mother the year before, and her job quite some time ago before. As she drove home from Port Perry and stopped at a restaurant for a cold drink, she thought to herself, "There's nothing here for me and Lindsay. Let's go to Toronto. Let's go tomorrow." That's another one of our eureka moments. There's a few pictures here from our first Niagara trip. Anyway, back to that story. Only moments before we made our epic decision to move, we had just returned from the police station because the lock on my front door was broken, and they told me to break into my own apartment. It was surprisingly easy. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had tried before and got caught in the act, because there was a conveniently located wooden crate on the driveway in front of my window and an L-shaped rip in the screen. If they weren't caught in the act, then they were probably scared away by the life-size painting I had of Jesus on my ceiling. It was like something out of Laverne and Shirley. Jeanette was smaller than me at the time, so I helped boost her through the window. "I can't get in any further. There's too much stuff in the way." "Just throw it onto the driveway." A rack of cups and a few other things went flying. I had to laugh because she looked like PJ getting stuck in the mail van on her favorite show. This was the day we filmed our Magic Carousel video. The rest is history. So look up Wadico Magic Carousel and you won't be disappointed. That was the name of our group, Wadico, W-A-D-I-C-O, because we wanted something similar to Kiddio, and that's how Elmer Fudd would say radical. There's a wedding picture of me and Dave. I got carousel horses on my dress. Picture of my first CD cover. And when I used to perform, first Christmas, far, far away. A factory worker living in Oshawa and a doll maker living in Toronto saw each other on Speaker's Corner. He wished the show could be an hour long. She was promoting her first and only CD. He was one of only 2 customers who ordered a copy. The rest is history. That's me and Dave celebrating our first New Year's Eve together. We went and saw a Kiss tribute band in Etobicoke. I got the Gene Simmons makeup on. This was actually the last time I went to Woodbine Centre. About a month or 2 before Dave and I got married, and that's us on our honeymoon. There seem to be a lot of pictures of me riding merry-go-rounds. Gee, I wonder why. I actually have Kiss-themed carousel horses around the hem of my wedding dress. There's Gene breathing fire, Peter on a Muller Indian pony, Ace, and Paul Stanley. I remember saving his tattoo for last. See the tiny little rose. And this is my favorite picture of my childhood. That's me with a pile of balloons and holding these corkscrews on my head like rabbit ears. And this is an enactment of me doing the same thing on my 50th birthday. I was 2 in this picture. And that was taken when Jeanette and I went to Guelph. There we are in the mirror doing the rabbit ears thing. I started scrapbooking and collaging shortly after regularly coming to the Living Room Community Art Studio. I tell you what, I'm going to do a second video because sometimes they fail to loaderize when they're that long. Okay, see you in a few minutes.